Afternoon, folks. Thanks for joining us for our presentation on the healing earth. With us today is Dr. Michael Shook from Loyola University. He and I encountered one another many lands away during the JESEDU conference in Rio de Janeiro in October. And he was kind enough to agree to do a little bit of a reiteration of what he presented to the educational delegates from Jesuit education from all over the world. This is a remarkable initiative, and Michael has fingerprints all over it. So I'm going to give him the floor and explain to us in the moments ahead more about the healing earth. If you have questions, raise a hand or you put in the chat, and then we'll open the microphones up at the end of the session for questions, okay? Michael, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Tim. And thanks, everyone, for taking time out of your busy schedule. I just want to talk briefly about Healing Earth and how we consider it to be a good instrument for forming students as integral ecologists. And I was going to introduce myself. I'm not the guy on the right. I'm the guy on the left with the hat. So I was blessed to be in Rome last September and got to meet Pope Francis, and we won an award from the Vatican for Healing Earth. We're very excited about that. I've been, like all of you, I've been really thinking a lot about the tragedy at the high school in Florida, and the comments that the high school students are making about how deep this has gone, obviously, for them, and how gun control is becoming a matter that's more important to them than anything in their lives. And it occurs to us in the authors of Healing Earth, we, short of tragedy, really hope that our students understand that the environment is something that really needs to be taken up into their entire life. And as here's a good quote from Laudato Si about that from Pope Francis, that we really need to struggle with these deeper issues. What is our purpose? What is the goal of our efforts? What need does the earth have of us? And we think that those are good questions even for environmental scientists to explore with their students, biologists to explore with their students inside of the Jesuit tradition of education. And Dr. Peter Raven, who's author of one of the most commonly used environmental science textbooks in secondary school environment, wrote this in his comment on Laudato Si, kind of conferring that in the years ahead, we really need to look at the moral and spiritual element of our discussion about environmental science, environmental concerns. So that's really the substance of what we tried to accomplish, or one of the substances that we've tried to accomplish in the Healing Earth textbook that we worked on for about 4 years, to try to develop an integral ecology that provides a solid education in environmental science, an introduction to the ethical dimension, some exposure to spiritual questions, meaning questions regarding the natural world, and then a call to action. So Healing Earth, I hope you've had a chance to look at it. If not, please do. It's a free online electronic textbook in environmental science. We have 6 chapters: biodiversity, natural resources, energy, water, food, and global climate change. And each chapter includes content and guidelines for exploring environmental ethics, spirituality, and action. I will not go into it right now because I want to save time. But again, it's pretty user friendly. If you go in there and double click and enter into the chapters, you'll see that every chapter starts with scientific presentation of the topic, for instance, water, and then goes into ethical discussion of water privatization issues, and then goes into spirituality discussion, water as sacred, in some cases, or in most cases, talking about history, world religions. So how do Muslims understand water and ablution? How do Jewish tradition, the water in a mikvah, Christian baptism, those kinds of spiritual dimensions. And then a call to action where there's a section in the book that we try to keep updated on actions that are going on around the world, both at secondary school and college level, of students engaged in, for instance, water protection. So we're trying to form students as integral ecologists. This is the way we have kind of configured the Ignatian pedagogy: to see scientifically, to evaluate ethically, to reflect spiritually, and to act effectively. And probably many of you are aware of the kind of see, judge, act paradigm. And we felt that it was really important to put the reflect spiritually inside of that, because that is where there is a rest. See, judge, and act can often kind of be, I would say, kind of kidnapped by our culture to move us very quickly to action. It's common in our consumer culture, see a product, judge whether you want it, and buy it. So reflect spiritually really requires and invites us to sit with our students and ask meaning questions about the earth, about water, about energy, about food. These are just some few testimonials, if you want to say, that of people at the secondary school level that have used Healing Earth. My screen is blocked on the right-hand side with the with the phone call and the microphone and the speaker, the kind of legend on the right, so I can't read this, but you can see it for yourself. This is Magdalena in Krakow, who's been a real champion of the text, and she's translated some parts of it into Polish, and that she's trained in biology and chemistry, and has found the ethics and spirituality discussion really important to add to her biology instruction. And it's made her probe her own identity as a Catholic and as a science teacher. Beatrice is really one of our champion users of Healing Earth. She's actually in the Basque region of Spain, not far from where St. Ignatius Loyola was born, actually. And she has been using Healing Earth. And again, she teaches biology, but finds the connection between science and spirituality really important, and likes how the text gives her some guidance on that, because she, like many of the environmental science teachers, will say, I'm not trained in theology, I'm not trained in religion, I'm not sure how to proceed in this. But we hope user-friendly, and someone like Beatrice has found it really a good text to open up those questions. Maria likewise teaches environmental geography, and to get she had not in previous renditions of her course dealt with religion in the regions that the students were studying, and that adding that dimension has really opened up the conversation in her case. So we just think that this approach, which is, there isn't any other text that we're aware of that tries to do all of this in one presentation, but we really are hoping that it does help to bring our teachers and our students to the heart of what it means to be human. And to us, there's no reason why an environmental science class or a biology class should not be a location where students can be brought to what it means to be human in the fullest sense, in both the scientific, ethical, spiritual, and engagement sense. So that is, again, our paradigm. And I just want to end, I wanted to make this really quick to respect your time, but I really, please consider joining us. We really consider those that are working with us, it's a team. We want to improve Healing Earth. We want to there's teacher guides to each chapter, and we certainly want to get to improve our teacher guides, get more case studies, get more links, get more photographs. So if you're willing to use Healing Earth as either a main text or a supplemental text, to please get in touch with us and join the conversation, because this is an experiment, and the more people that teachers that are willing to use it and join in, the more data we have as far as its effectiveness, our ability to assess and improve. We also do go on site to locations. We've been to Guatemala, we've been to Mexico, Peru, and Poland, and then 2 or 3 locations in the United States to give Healing Earth teacher workshops, usually like a half day or a day workshop, depending on time and availability. So we're happy to do that if there's an interest. In many cases when we've done workshops, we have invited the science teachers at the Jesuit University, if there happens to be one nearby, to join the science teachers in the secondary schools at a workshop. And we did that in Guatemala, we did it in Mexico, and also in Peru. And in some cases, it was the first time that these science teachers had met one another. They're working in Jesuit institutions, but at these different levels. And I'll tell you, the secondary school, high school science teachers, they had a lot to teach the university science teachers about pedagogy, and those conversations are really rich. So I just wanted to thank you very much for giving me these few minutes to put Healing Earth on your screen, and I hope to hear back from some of you on what you think of it, and if you're willing to give it a try.
Cynthia has entered a question. Thank you, Michael. This is cursory, but at the same time, it's clear since it's online, you're basically saying, here it is. And by the way, we just looked at the IPP as part of it. So it's not like this is, something in, from outside of the realm of Jesuit education. It seems fabricated straight from within it. Cynthia has a question. We would be interested in a workshop. Can you, any further details you can share? If you might want to share your email address in the chat window, just so she might be able to get back in touch with you.
Excellent. Yep.
And Michelle, if your I think your microphone is on. If you want, I've opened it up. If you have questions or things to offer. Good. There's Michael's email address. Cynthia, can you confirm you see that in the chat window?
I have to tell you a little story if I've got 30 seconds.
Sure, of course.
And I think I told this story in Rio, so you've probably heard it already. But one of the unintended benefits of Healing Earth was this networking between our science teachers at Jesuit high schools, and we hadn't thought about that a great deal. But when the Hurricane Maria came through Puerto Rico, the Jesuit high school in San Juan was not destroyed, but hit. And Wilma, who teaches environmental science there and uses Healing Earth, I kind of enlisted our other secondary school teachers from around the world to contact her and ask if she needed some help or needed anything. And she said she would really like to have an interaction between her students that are feeling very fearful with students their age to talk about their experience. So Maria, that I think Maria I had up on the screen from Spain, her class had just been exploring hurricanes, meteorological events in the abstract. And so they were able to connect their students and get a conversation going. I think actually the students in Spain sent letters and also emails to their peers. And that was just really rewarding kind of experience. And interestingly, the students in Spain had not really considered the social impact of a hurricane. They were looking at it purely from a meteorological perspective. So that really was a pitch right down the middle of Francis's insistence that environment and social issues are really intertwined. So the more people we get that use Healing Earth, the more of this network we can build. And we want to get an interactive feature on the site. We have not been able to get that up yet, but we're hoping to get like an interactive blog space so we can get it closer to a real-time platform for students to talk to one another.
It's refreshing. So many of us in our sciences and our disciplines think of them discretely. In this realm, I've got geometry, then I've got, world history, then I've got biology, when in fact, this is really an invitation to a community that's bridging people together on common themes that affect us all. So it's much less discrete and much more integrated. So that's a very wholesome approach. So very cool, very cool.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the time constraints. I know how hard it is in secondary school to build in these kinds of added features because you're already pressed. And so, if we could learn ways to help one another in doing that, that would be really a blessing.
Right. Michelle, any questions on your end? Cynthia, I pasted the answer, which is Michael's email address, in the answer field of the question. Questions or suggestions from you, Michelle? May have had a little struggle with her. I turned your microphone back on just in case. Well, certainly you should know how to get in touch with me. I'll make sure that I put my email address in the chat window as well. A pretty simple one. The conversation can continue. We're going to make the video of this available within 24 hours so it can be seen, rewatched, and of course shared with others. So Michael, thank you so much for your time. This is a remarkable initiative. Thank you, Cynthia and Michelle, for stopping in and taking some time in your afternoon, and let's let the conversation continue, okay?
Thanks very much, Tim.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Bye-bye.